Oh, hey.
Welcome everybody watching today on Twitch. My name is Carlos A.S. Lysing. I'm the Dungeon Master of the first Betrayal campaign set in the World of Greyhawk. This is going to be episode 13 of our show. For those of you who are recurringly tune in, thank you for coming. I'd like to introduce you our troupe of players right now. Starting from my left, David Aho will be playing Arion. In the middle of our screen is Jeremy Brazil and Patrick Hope, who are going to be playing Rainmar and Agrias. And in the right corner of our screen is Matthew Lazinski, who's going to be playing Brixton Beholder's Bane. Brixton, there you go. Starting off our game tonight, I'd like to take care of a couple little pieces of business, as we usually do. Those of you know, my players down here are all members of the Castle Entertainment Patreon. They will also, the Castle Entertainment Patreon is going really well, and Castle Entertainment has just got our newest module back from the printers. It's called the Sanguine Labyrinth. It looks really, really nice. It's 88 pages. It's pretty thick. It's the first chapter of our first mega dungeon that we're going to be creating. I'm going to be debuting it on Halloween at Gamehole Con because it's got all kinds of spooky themes to it, and a lot of my players here that are in the room tonight are going to be at Gamehole tonight. David Aho, Patrick, and Jeremy are all going to be at Gamehole. We're all going to be we're going to be running the hell out of some games. They're going to be in all 3 games, I think, or at least multiple games. For those of you, David is an exception. That David won't be able to be in every single one of the games. But for people like David that won't be,
I'm even lurking.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But for people like David that can't make all the games, keep in mind I'm going to be running a lot of games that are off session, which means they're not scheduled, they're not on the roster. So that way everybody's going to get a chance to play that wants to. So just get in touch with me if you're interested in playing an off-session game. If you're coming to Gamehole Con, we'll make arrangements to get you guys into a scenario. For those of you guys also who follow Castle Entertainment stuff, a lot of you know I just got back from GrogCon last week. GrogCon was an amazing success. Thanks to Dan and James for getting me down there. And I ran 3 sessions of Queen of Shala, the Porcelain Sword of Queen of Shala. It was very well received. One thing I thought was really cool about that module is that there's not too much done in Greyhawk in the Beclunish West. Very little, as a matter of fact, has ever been done with that area. It's been kind of a land of mystery, and of course, that means I wanted to tackle it, and I think it was really well received. There's a lot of cultural stuff that I put into the module about how to play a Beclunish, what their social, mores are, and things like that. So I think a lot of people really enjoyed getting into that part of the character, which was really, really dynamite for me as a Greyhawk geek. Now, as far as our players go here in our actual game, we had a interesting ending to the campaign last session. As everyone might remember, the party rolled into the temporary camp for Procan's Eye. Jeremy Rainmar and Patrick Agrias went ahead and they negotiated, mostly Raymar negotiated the pay for the group, and Agrias decided that the group would stick around to act sort of like the security and kind of a sub-leadership group for Procan's Eye while they were building their temporary settlement there so they could go ahead and they could explore the ocean. Meanwhile, Brixton and his 2 apprentices, there was a little bit of a commotion at the end of the adventure in which one of Brixton's apprentices tried to play a prank on Agrias. It went horribly wrong, and as a result, Brixton was running for his life near the end of the adventure. But when cooler heads finally prevailed, he ended up over at the shore at the end of the night with the specialist sage that is helping Procan's eye out with this adventure. Her name is Calissa Entrati, and he was learning a lot about his own magical items. He was learning a lot about how they plan on exploring the bottom of the sea. And David Aho, in the meantime, was exploring and scouting for the group. Arion was out in the woods, and he had come across troublingly, an orcish sort of a redoubt that they had built as a forward scouting position. He decided that he wasn't going to disturb it, but what he did do was he set a couple snares around it so that somebody might be in for an uncomfortable surprise when if they decided they wanted to use it again. In the meantime, he was also training Tobias, his Wolverine companion, in how to deal with hand signals and how to conduct himself as a normal animal companion rather than a bloodthirsty carnivorous beast that wants to kill everything around him, which it is normally. One last piece of information: Rainmar had a kind of a heated discussion. When I say heated, I mean the temperature went up. Discussion with the captain of the ship that is going to be with Procan's eye. The ship is the Nereid's Shawl, and the captain is Charissa de Tardress, and the captain and he was invited by the captain to come aboard the ship and play her a song in the night at the end of the evening. That's where we ended up with the group. So everybody's kind of doing their own thing. But the only person I really don't know exactly what they're doing right now per se is Agrias. So we're going to start off the campaign tonight. When I last left my intrepid heroes, Agrias, exactly how did you want to spend the rest of your evening?
I want to see where the laborers are with setting up camp right now.
Okay. Going off to see the laborers. You're watching them right now. What they're trying to do right now is they're collecting all the wood and putting in discrete positions, kind of deciding where they want to put different lodgings and where they want to put they're trying to decide right now if they want to if they have enough wood to make a palisade fence around the area. And when you come up to them, a couple of laborers look at you and they go, "Oh, Agrias, I'm glad you're here. Got a question for you. I mean, we're right at the edge of some woods here right now. We may or may not have enough room to make a palisade fence defense here, but if we're running low on wood, do we have? Can we log this?"
Yes.
Okay. All right. The only reason I ask is because a bunch of us heard that there might be some orcs or something out there in the woods. Are we going to draw a lot of attention to ourselves that way?
It's a possibility that they're out there, but we're going to need to fortify the camp anyway, so we're going to need more wood.
All right. Okay. Well, then I'll get some guys on cutting down some wood right now then, and we'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Is there anything you don't want us to touch? Any way you guys, anything that, or just go at it?
Don't go too deep into the woods. Definitely hit, the closest ones you can.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll do that.
We don't have any trenching. We can lay trenches around the settlement.
We'll try and use a buddy system and make sure that nobody is out there by themselves.
I'll send Herrick and Einar to watch you guys while you cut.
They both nod, and Herrick kind of looks at him, rolls up his sleeves, goes, "I'm not above doing a little work myself, so I'll help you guys out." So Herrick and Einar start getting settled into that. Brixton, you're over at the in the meantime, you're over at the shore with Calissa and Trotty. Is there anything else you want to ask her before you settle in for the evening?
I mean, a lot, but
Well, you can feel free to ask me whatever you'd like. I mean, that's what I'm here for. She kind of adjusts her glasses a bit.
I think we'll have these conversations later, and I appreciate her. I thanks for the help. And
She nods. The only thing I would say, she says, your apprentices. She's kind of got you aside a little bit. She says, I don't want to step on your toes or anything. If they ask me questions or things like that, how do you want me to answer them?
Honestly,
Oh, okay. Well, if you don't mind, then I'm sure they're going to. They seem like a pair of inquisitive young girls, or gnomes. I'm sorry.
they're very inquisitive.
Meanwhile, Arion, okay, you're over at the. Thank you very much. You're over at the woods right now, inside of the just inside the tree line. Um, your scouting has not revealed anything except the readout. You notice that the workers are beginning to start logging the area at the edge of the woods. Do you have any problem with that?
I realize it's got to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I take note of it and just make sure I'm making sure that I can, or if I can see anything coming in or whatever, I can rush in to help if need be and so on, scouting or whatever.
Okay, outstanding. Well, you and Tobias are stalking through the woods. You see Einar and Herrick over there helping them, and
Also,
sure.
if I do see some game, I'm going to be trying to take some in so we can actually.
Okay, roll me a 20-sider.
What's that?
Roll me a 20-sider.
18.
Okay, you actually find some tracks for deer. Are you going to follow them out?
Yeah, and I'll try to get Tobias to help.
Yeah, actually, Tobias is all, believe it or not, this is kind of a revelation to you. Now that you've found something to hunt, Tobias is all in. He's locked in. He doesn't bitch at all. He doesn't say really anything. He's just sniffing the trail. You may have found his niche, you think, because now that he's actually got something to lock in on, something to kill and hunt,
Right.
He's all about this. So Tobias
Right.
is sniffing the trail and helping you go ahead and stalk.
I'm also making sure everything is clear on the side.
Outstanding. Okay.
So nothing comes up tonight, whatever sides and what have you, ambush type.
Okay. Rainmar the Wildlight.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is getting. You've gotten your invitation to come to the to go to the ship. Are you going to take her up on it?
Well, as I recall, I need to go over there to collect a letter.
You do.
So I don't know that I have much choice. What I'd like to do, if possible, is leave my work pup with Eileen. Eileen, is that possible?
Yeah, Lynn says no problem. She goes, I'll take care of I'll take care of her. She's pretty well behaved, even when you're not around.
That, she works on her with her comment a little bit.
Okay, I can do that.
Roger that. I'm gonna go ahead and hike over to the Narrad Shaw.
Okay, the Narrad Shaw has a long gangplank running up to actually the boat. The boat is it's a pretty large boat actually. It's definitely seaworthy. There's a couple guards posted up by the gangplank, and they see you, and they walk up, and you see them kind of talk to each other for a second before you even approach, before you get quite up there. They see you when you walk up. They just kind of nod in your direction. Say, Rainmar?
Yeah.
You're expected. Go ahead in. He goes, Captain's over at the rear of the ship. She goes, in her quarters.
Okay, I sling my guitar to the front, and I start plucking out a little greeting song.
Both of the guards kind of chuckle to each other as you walk past the gangplank. Just kind of. You get up the gangplank, and you're on the actual deck of the ship. The ship is kind of bobbing just a little bit. As you have heard, the weather is getting bad out at the sea, so even here on the shore, it's a little bit choppy. But you get over onto the deck, and it becomes pretty obvious what direction you have to go in. You go to the rear of the ship, What do you want to do? You're right in front of the door.
I'm gonna play a little bit louder to see if I can get her attention.
Okay, you're playing a little bit. As you get about halfway through your song, the door opens up a little bit. Sharissa sticks her head out. She's got her. Just to give you guys an idea, since you guys probably didn't remember the description, Sharissa is probably about 6'1", actually. She's very tall. She's very thin. She's got red hair, straight red hair, a smattering of freckles. She's got she dresses like a proper lady with a big hoop skirt. She's got a parasol in her hand and a proper lady's hat with big feather on it. She opens the door and looks over at you. She doesn't have her hat on right now. She looks at you. She goes, "Oh, come in."
I hope I didn't ruffle your feather with my song.
She laughs a little bit. She goes, "Hardly." She goes, "I'm very unflappable, you'll find." She turns around and starts walking into the room. Captain's chambers, as you walk in, is wooden chambers. There's all kinds of decorations on the wall. Like you see a broken ship's wheel there. You see a big map on the wall. The middle of the room is dominated by a table with a big map on top of it that's been stuck to the table by 4 daggers. On the whole back of the wall, there's an elevated, like a loft bed there. And it's got kind of a pair of drapes that come across the front of it.
Okay.
There's a table. There's a couple chairs there. There's a desk. Just have a seat. Would you like something to drink?
Absolutely.
She nods. She walks over to the wall, pulls out a bottle. She looks over her shoulder at you. Will rum do?
It sounds like it'll have to.
Smiles. She goes, "You know it's a pirate's tradition." She's pouring out into a pair of glasses. Gives you a silver or like a pewter mug. It's got gems encrusted all over it. Hands it to you. Says, "You know Rain Marsh." She says, "Oh, before I forget, I almost forgot." She gets up, grabs this letter, and hands it to you. It's got a wax seal on it.
What's the seal look like?
The seal looks like a woman's face that is half in shadow, half in light. She goes, This is for you."
And is there any markings on it other than the seal?
Letter R on the front in fine feminine script. She goes, "Do you have a secret admirer?"
Well, at least one, but it's hard to keep track.
She laughs a little bit. "So play me a song."
Do you play at all?
Some.
What do you play?
Turns around, walks over to her desk, opens it up. Has a small case in there. Pulls it out. There's a piccolo there. She goes, "I'm not very good," she goes, "but sometimes you have spare time in my line of work and pick up hobbies."
I'm not particularly good either, but...
Oh, I would counter that. She goes, "From what I've heard, you're outstanding."
Oh, you're too kind.
Rainmar the Wild Light. Recently of the Sheldamar Valley, actually.
You know me.
"No, I know of you," she says. "I did my due diligence before I left." She says, I have my own ways." She says, "I've heard that you were a busy boy over there before. Something about an orc's den?"
Yeah, it was not my best piece of work.
She says, "Well, we all start somewhere."
We had leadership issues.
Not anymore. I understand the leader of that group is no more.
Correct.
That's a shame. She says, "It's hard to captain a ship without the captain."
That's a 14 for the beginning of my song.
Okay, so she's listening to you. She pulls out the piccolo and starts playing a little bit too. A little bit subdued. She's obviously not a professional. She's kind of just, a hobbyist, but she's still playing and keeping time with you pretty well. Brixton, Agrias, and Arion. When you guys are, well, at least Brixton and Arion, Agrias, I should say. When you guys are done with your with what you're doing, are you going to camp for the night?
And how long is?
Not you, Arion. Agrias and Brixton. I'll handle you in a second.
Okay.
Agrias and Brixton, you guys just gonna camp for the night then?
Yeah, I think so. Just kind of.
Where will you guys choose to sleep? You have a couple choices. You can either have a bedroll outside, or you could have one of the tents, or you could actually sleep in one of the carriages. What will you choose?
I'll sleep in a carriage.
Okay. As for you, Brixton?
I'll do the same.
Okay. Brixton, Sunny and Lily choose the wedding carriage for you.
Can I sleep on top of the carriage?
You cannot sleep on top of the carriage. Well, you could sleep on top of the carriage if you want to, but the two of them are they'll sleep. They say that they'll sleep on the floor so you can sleep in the on the seat because you deserve that.
They're not wrong.
Make me a 20-sider.
1.
They look really uncomfortable on the floor.
I'm sure they do.
Okay.
I mean, we're adventuring. You gotta toughen them up.
Okay. Okay, you're gonna let them sleep on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay. Agrias, meanwhile, you're in your carriage, sleeping blissfully alone.
Can I turn on my all-around sight?
Of course you can.
Awesome.
Your all-around sight is now on until you tell me otherwise. For those of you guys who do not know about Patrick's abilities, Patrick is a member of a special order of elvish fighter magic users that have access to martial arts, actually, using the Oriental Adventures rules for martial arts. And one of his abilities is all-around sight that he's chosen. So those of you who wonder about his special abilities, that's the mechanics that we're using for this game. Meanwhile, Arion, you're out there in the woods stalking around, and you actually come across a pair of deer out there. Probably about maybe, you get as close as probably about 30 yards away.
Shouldn't be that bad. I'll try to. I suppose I'll have to roll for it with him. I'm going to see if we can coordinate. Him go after one, I'll take the other.
Okay, make me a 20-sider, please.
5.
Okay. Tobias starts kind of stalking through the woods in one direction. He's kind of going around, kind of almost in an arc around them, trying to circle them a bit. In the meantime, you're going to try and shoot one of them with 2 arrows?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and make me 2 20s.
15 and 16.
Okay, 2 6ers?
4 and 4.
Arion, you pull back your bow. The first shot goes right through the heart. The second one of it, as it kind of starts to move around a little bit, you catch it straight in the side. The thing, bring it down right away. The other one starts to spook, and as soon as you see it start to jump up, all of a sudden it gets grabbed by something and pulled right down to the ground. And Tobias and it are wrestling around on the ground. Tobias kills it in about 5 seconds. It doesn't take long at all. So you've got 2 dead deer right there. What do you want to do?
Make sure I check around, make sure nothing else has noticed any noise or anything like that.
It doesn't look like it.
All right. you know, I don't know if I should really gut it here or gut it out there and gut it back, but he's probably going to want to chew on some of it while I'm working.
You got that right. Tobias is gnawing on this thing's neck. He's starting to eat.
Okay. I don't know if he likes. I'm not sure what he likes best, soft or anything, but you know, like I'll try to get my deer ready to be humped back to camp.
You get the impression that he would eat the. You get the impression he'd eat the hooves if you'd let him.
Well, yeah. I also don't want a sick Wolverine on my hands again.
That's true. Okay, so you're gonna drag your deer back then, right? Okay.
That would then try to signal him to run at the same time if he can.
Got it. Brixton, you're about ready to go to sleep. You're kind of laying there. And it's real quiet. Stars are out and everything. And you hear, Brixton, are you still awake?
No.
Oh, okay.
What's up? Why?
Well, I was just wondering. It's sunny. I was thinking about Solveig, and I was thinking about Ginny.
Yeah.
And I was wondering when you could teach me some magic, so maybe that wouldn't happen again. 'Cause I kind of feel like maybe if I could have cast some spells or I would have been better with darts, maybe I could have saved them.
we can start doing that tomorrow.
Really? We can have magic lessons tomorrow?
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be awesome, she says.
But you gotta rest up. You gotta get a full 8 hours.
She nods. She says, "Okay, I'll go to bed." Lily doesn't say anything. She's just there with you. Brixton?
Yeah.
About 5 minutes later. Is it okay if I get Agrias to teach me about a sword like he said he would?
Really?
Cause I think he's really mad at me because of the noose trick, and I want to make it up to him. I want to show him that I'm like I can pull my own weight here, and I'm not just a little stupid gnome girl.
Well, you took him down with your weight.
Yeah, I know, but it was I think he's really mad.
Oh, I think he's fine.
He tried to punch me in the face.
Well, maybe learning sword from him might be dangerous.
Well, but it's like Sonny said, maybe if I was tough with a sword, maybe I don't know, maybe somebody would sneak up on you or something, and I could defend you.
Yeah, you should go learn sword.
Okay, well, I think I'm gonna learn both.
Okay.
Okay, it's quiet again. Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
You're back over at the boat.
I know.
And the song's done.
You don't know that for sure.
Oh, I know it's done. Song finishes. This is not the song that never ends. Song ends, and Sharissa's just kind of kicked back now on her chair. She puts her flute down, looks over at you. She says, "So, do you have any idea what we're going to be doing out there in the water?"
Well, I think it's a discovery mission of sorts.
Oh, it is. It is. What do you think we're going to find out there?
I don't know, but I hope it's worth money.
Me too. Me too, she sighs a little bit. She goes, "How much do you really know about these two? The Everins, that is."
Almost nothing. Only that they're willing to pay a decent wage.
She nods. She says, Caverick's Cove used to be a pirate town.
I didn't, actually.
Yeah, she says the guy that made it, that established it, was a man named Henry Caverick, a couple hundred years ago. He was a pirate, a corsair, that used to go up and down this coast and used to attack all the small towns. He decided that he wanted a hideout. And eventually, what ended up happening was when he decided he came back to his hideout one day and found out that a bunch of townsfolk had gathered around the wall for protection. So he started charging them tax. Well, a couple years later, he found out that simply collecting tax was a lot safer than being a pirate. So he decided to concentrate his efforts on being a mayor. That's how Caveric's Cove was bound.
Amazing.
But the word is, she says, that there are secret tunnels all over the region underneath there from the pirates. Treasure aplenty.
Maybe when we're done with this job, we'll go check that out.
She nods. She says, "Aren't you going to open up your letter from your secret admirer?"
Appropriate timing. I'm enjoying your company right now.
She goes, "That's the appropriate response." She pours out another thing of rum, knocks
I'm all about appropriateness.
it back, looks over at you, kind of puts her parasol down to rest it up against the side of the map. Looks over at you, stands up, kind of walks across the room past you again. Fiddles with something on top of her dresser and comes back over to you where you're standing. Goes over to your chest and puts a little small medallion, pins it onto your shirt. The shirt, it has it's kind of like a sigil of a young woman, kind of like a siren on the rocks. She goes there. She goes, you look better already.
What is this?
She goes, "Oh, you've just been press ganged." She goes, that's the symbol of my ship." She goes, "You're a crew member now."
How convenient. Is there a signing bonus?
She goes, "You know what that means, right?"
I think you're going to tell me.
She looks over, she goes, "That means as your captain, you have to take orders from me."
That's adorable.
She smiles. "Do you take orders well, Rainmar?"
Oh, dude. I'm more used to giving them orders.
Oh, so you want to aspire to be a first mate, do you?
Actually, I was thinking about bringing you on as my first mate.
Well, how would we do that?
Well, we'd mate as many times as possible.
She leans over and she says, "Well," she says, "if that's true, I'm going to have to see how strong of a seaman you are."
Wow.
She leans over and starts to kiss you. And we're going to stop right there. Okay, so in the meantime, Jeremy...
I really think you guys should play this out.
So Jeremy, meanwhile, first of all, it's a long-standing tradition that the bard in the group tries to seduce everything. So, well done, you're well on your way.
Thank you, sir.
Arion, you come back with the game. The guys are still working on they're starting to try to set up a palisade wall. It looks like they're trying to dig a trench maybe around an area of where they might be setting up the wall.
All right.
Herrick has a full sweat going on. Got his shirt rolled up. You're actually kind of impressed. The guy is actually he's actually a pretty hard worker.
He complains a lot, but he's good.
Yeah, he does. He complains a lot, but he does what he's doing. Are you gonna go ahead and you're gonna gut it, skin it, and prepare it?
Where it would be prudent to do so.
Okay. Yeah, you end up going over by the shore and doing it. The boat is The Nereid shawl is sitting there. There's a light that you see in the captain's chamber, a candle light that's there, and all of a sudden it gets blown out.
Uh-oh. Boat rocking?
Oh, no, just normal lapping. He's not that good.
Oh,
You can make a boat that size rock, then you're doing something right. But anyway,
never know, you could be hitting the rudder.
okay. So you go ahead. You're go ahead and skid it. After that, are you gonna do anything, or are you gonna go to bed?
I've had a long day. I'm going to try to, before I turn, I'll let Tobias gnaw on the stuff and give him the guts of the one that I took out.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing about Tobias. He's like a human garbage or a Wolverine garbage disposal. So anything you don't want, you're just gutting it. He just happily eats it. It's absolutely disgusting to watch and smell, but
hopefully he doesn't eat the rest of it because for the rest of the food.
actually he doesn't. He eats what you're giving him, and he's pretty much satisfied with that, and he's happy. Where are you going to go to bed? Are you going to do it outside, or are you going to do are you going to go into one of the carriages?
For what? Or to sleep?
Yeah.
I'm going to stay out here and sort of do the cat napping type of thing.
Got it.
I got just for guards, and before I go, I'm going to take out my knife and just start relaxing and try to do a little bit of carb practice.
Okay. Spellcasters among the group. Tell me what you're memorizing first thing in the morning.
I'm going to memorize Magic Missile this time.
Okay, you can't. You memorize Magic Missile, all right. Ariane, what are you going to memorize? Brixton, what are you going to memorize? Rainmar, or Grice, what are you going to memorize?
I'll get back to you in just a sec. Here.
Okay. Agrias?
Magic Missile.
Magic Missile for you. Brixton.
I'm going to do Enlarge.
Enlarge.
And then I'm going to do Haze.
Is that for Jeremy? Uh-huh.
I'm going to do Haze, Change, and Mouse, I think, today.
Okay. Look at how stoic he handled that, too. Ariane, what are you going to memorize?
These for the time being, I'm going to stick with my standard True Light and
Protection from Evil.
These for the time being.
Okay. When everybody wakes up, Brixton, you go ahead and you wake up. You smell breakfast cooking already inside of the carriage. You wake up, you roll over, and the girls are in the middle of the floor. They've cleared out everything out of the carriage already first thing in the morning. The entire middle of the carriage they've turned into a de facto kitchen, and they're cooking breakfast, it looks like, for an army of people. A veritable army of people.
Where do I start?
They look over at you. Oh, good morning, Brixton. Hey, we thought we'd make breakfast for everybody this morning.
Good morning. That's fantastic.
You get yours first, though. Here,
Say is mine ready?
Oh yeah, we made yours first. It's right there. They've got pancakes this morning and eggs and bacon.
Bacon and eggs.
We'll get to you in a second, Rainmar. Don't you worry. Okay, Brixton.
I tell Lily to go give breakfast to Grias as well.
Oh, okay. Okay. She goes, maybe I'll talk to him about the sword thing, too.
Sure.
Okay, she leaves. Agrias, you wake up first thing in the morning. You wake up because there is somebody outside of your carriage, probably about 20 feet. You're aware of them even before they come up. You can smell breakfast. You hear a small knock on your door.
Come in.
The door opens up. It's Lily there. She has this big plate in her hand. She goes, Grace, I made you breakfast.
Thank you, Lily.
She comes over. She goes, hey, she kind of looks up at you and kind of sees your eyes and then kind of looks down a little bit and looks up again. You can tell she's terrified of you.
I start eating.
She says, I had two things I wanted to say this morning. The first is, I'm sorry I almost broke your neck yesterday. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. Um, um, it was just an accident. I'm sorry.
And the other thing?
Well, we talked about yesterday that maybe you could teach me how to use a sword, and I was thinking that I'd like to learn so that maybe bad things won't happen, and if they do, that maybe I can help defend everybody.
Okay, did Brixton give you a sword to train with?
No, but I can make one. I'll make a wooden one.
No, you need to have a real blade if you want to take it seriously.
All right. Well, I'll get one. I'll get one.
Okay.
She leaves. She kind of has a little skip in her step a little bit as she leaves. Ariane, you wake up with sun rising over the water. Beautiful vista. The water seems to be pretty calm today. The air is got that salt air from the sea coming in. Tobias is asleep, laying on this pile of deer guts, just in his absolute glory.
Okay. I'm gonna try to do some how deep is the water right out at this point? Is it shallow or?
It's relatively shallow. It doesn't drop off here quite yet.
Okay. I was gonna say I'd try to do some set line with some like deer guts, whatever, see if I can get some fish in too.
Okay. Make me a 20-sider. Okay. You're starting to fish, and actually you're catching a couple things. So yeah, you're doing okay. Rainmar, meanwhile.
Yes, sir.
You wake up. This bed is really, really comfortable.
Back
Huh? What's that?
in the carriage?
Oh, no. No, you're on top of that loft bed. It's a feather bed. The canopy's there. When you wake up, the sun is filtering in through the blinds. Sharissa is not there. Your experience last night would be somewhere between the most voracious person you've ever been with and an actual combat. She's very, very aggressive. You wake up and you're actually pretty sore in a lot of places. A lot of places. Some of them more tender than others.
And did I lose any hit points?
No. You might have lost one, but you would have gained it back last night from the rest.
It's a fair question.
Well, in truth, it would have been temporary hit points you would have lost from grappling, pummeling, and overbearing, but...
That's it.
Yeah, she's pretty hardcore, actually, but it was a very, very memorable night. The air smells of sweat, the sea a little bit, candlelight, the candles from last night. Yeah.
So, I'm going to go ahead and read that letter.
Okay, you're in bed, by the way. Like I said, you're alone in the cabin. You read the letter. The letter is from the sister, as it was sent to her. And the letter says that, it says as follows. It says, Rainmar. It says, as you read this, I am probably over 50 leagues distant from your position. I am coming. Signed, Sister Karani. Or Aramina, I'm sorry, yeah. Wrong sister. Yeah, wrong sister. Sister Aramina. Says
Sister Karani come too?
No, Sister Karani cannot come too. But Sister Armina signs it. It's embossed at the bottom with the symbol of the Church of Zanye.
Okay. I'm going to. Can I smell? Is anybody having breakfast? Do I smell breakfast being made on the ship?
Actually, you do smell breakfast. It is a little bit distant from here, though.
I'm going to go ahead and check in with Agrias. So I'm going to start making my way off the ship.
Well, you're going to get dressed first, okay? Because your clothes are spread out all over the captain's chambers right now.
I'm assuming some of them are torn asunder.
Some of them are torn a little bit, yeah. Some of them are, you've got a boot that's like hanging up over top of one of the dressers. You've got, your shirt is thrown up over the top of the canopy. You're not quite sure where your underwear are.
Are there any of her clothes that she was wearing last night, or any of her clothes lying around?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what about the hat with the feather?
The hat from the feather is missing.
Parasol.
Parasol's missing.
Is there another parasol in the room?
There is another parasol in the room.
All right, I'm going to take that.
Okay.
Once I'm dressed with the parasol, I'm going to walk out of these quarters, spinning my parasol.
You do that. You walk out, and the first thing you see when you walk out there are 5 different sailors that are sitting there that are working on breakfast in the middle of the thing. Sharissa's just standing there with her arms folded. And she looks over her shoulder and looks at you. She goes, "Oh, you're awake." She goes,
"Well, somebody's got a captain in this ship, or these people will never stay in line."
"Oh, absolutely," she says. She looks over at you. She goes, "That suits you, by the way."
"Yeah, I kind of like it."
She just walks right up to you. And you get, "Yeah, I kind of," and she starts kissing you passionately, up right against the wall. Just grabs you by the front of your shirt, pushes you against the wall, and starts kissing you.
This is standard for Rainmar. This is how he breaks the ice with most strangers.
She looks over at you. She kind of breaks back a little bit. She said, she looks over at you. She says, "I had fun." Lets you go and turns around and walks away. She looks over at the crew. She looks over at the crew. She says, make sure he's fed. She says,
she turns around to walk away. I slap her on the ass with the parasol.
She looks over her shoulder. She looks over her shoulder and just kind of smirks a little bit. She walks down the gangplank away from you, and the sailors just kind of all look up at you. They have this look on their faces like you're an absolute legend.
And I look at them and I say, "I'm the captain now." Where's my breakfast, boys?
Everybody, all of them in unison, all start laughing, and they start giving you like a 7-course meal for breakfast.
Okay. After eating, my next move is Agrias.
Okay, so at this point, Brixton, I'm sure after breakfast you're going to come out of your carriage. Arion, you see first the captain leave the ship, and then then Rainmar follow. Raymar starts walking towards the middle of the camp. You start to see everybody started convening in that area. Brixton, you're leaving your carriage. Raymar and Agrias are kind of approaching each other outside of his. Arion, are you going to join them as well?
Yeah, I'm going to take I'm going to take what meat we've got, or the deer. Leave Tobias a good chunk of what he's been gnawing on and everything. The fish that I've caught, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it up to the girls. I'm sure they know how to process and stuff.
Okay. So you're gonna. Okay.
And I want to go over to. I want to talk to Brixton about a couple of things too. So.
Okay, Brixton. You guys all, Rainmar, Agrias, and Brixton, you guys are all just outside the carriages. You see Arion come walking up. Arion looks like he slept in a slaughterhouse last night. He's covered in blood, whatever. He's walking up, but at first it's a little worrisome, but you can tell he's got some game with him that he must have killed last night. All four of you guys are convened with each other outside the carriages. Go ahead. Tell me what you guys. Go ahead and start conversing.
Dr. Brixton says, would it be possible for me to have one of your little crossbow, your hand crossbow bolts? I want to practice on something. I want to practice my warrior flexing or whatever. It's like do something.
Because I can't find a lot of these. So if you think you can make
I want to try something and try to see if I can help you out by, there's not odd things, so can't find them all that often. So I'm gonna try to do something for you. The other thing I was just curious that after we got, one time, I'd like to take a gander at that sword that you had found, or that sort of piqued my interest when you pulled it out of that bag. I've seen sword specialist, and it's sort of like I just want to see what it's like, whatever, compared to mine or whatever.
For sure. Yeah, I can let you look at it.
Okay. So you go ahead. You're going to give him the sword. Meanwhile, Raymar and Agrias, what are you guys going to do?
Well, obviously I came down to check in with Agrias, but
Agrias, by the way, the first thing that you notice about Raymar is Raymar looks like he fought in a war last night, and he's got a parasol in his hand, and he's swinging around as he walks down the gangplank.
and I say, hey brother, how far are we from heading out today?
Not quite sure yet. I'm waiting to have the Einar and Harry come back, but most of it's going to be about building defenses today.
Elin kind of walks up. She looks over at you guys. She goes, "Oh, that's a nice parasol you have there, Raymar." She takes a little drink of beer first thing in the morning.
And she has my pup.
She has her pup in your hand. It's just kind of sitting there.
All right.
She looks over. She looks over at you. She goes. She looks down and whispers in the wolf cub's ear. So she's like growling something. She looks over. She holds the pup up in front of you, and the pup looks at you right in the eye and goes, "Raymar."
Not bad. Okay.
Good job. Good job. She comes over and kisses on top of the head, feeds it a treat.
All right. I take her and I put her kind of over my shoulders like this. And
She's kind of just rolling back and forth a little bit as you're rubbing her face. Then she starts sniffing you all over. Starts sniffing at you. Obviously smells something strange on you.
Stop it.
Okay. Elaine looks over at you guys. She's like, "Okay, what's the plan?"
We need to build a trench around the camp.
She goes, "I think the boys have started that already." She looks over. As she says that, you guys are kind of looking at and seeing what has been done last night. Some of the trench has been dug. They look like they're starting to set up the wall. Now they've got the wood there. Everything's there. Looks like they've cut the tops of the wood, so they've sharpened it a little bit. And it looks like they're starting to get ready to lay it out. She goes, Einar was working pretty late into the evening last night. I think he's still in the caravan asleep.
All right, let him sleep for a little longer.
Yeah. She says, I heard Rainmar say something, we're moving out. What are we going to be doing?
We'll figure that out in a little bit.
Okay.
After breakfast. Let's have everyone eat.
Okay.
Can someone bring me Lily?
Will do. She looks over and she goes, but I think Rainmar's already got his fill this morning. She says and keeps walking away.
That was actually dessert. Breakfast.
Everybody is gathered at the main area to start eating in that big circle around the bonfire. A lot of talk going around from the laborers. You hear just general stuff about, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. Hey, don't forget to do this. Hey, did anybody see any orcs last night? No, I heard something, but it turned out not to be that. Hey, did you happen to see the ranger come out of the woods the other day with the game? Yeah, that kind of stuff. Brixton.
I'm gonna sit next to Grice and tell him about the old ruins that aren't far from here that are rumored to have magical items.
Okay. Rainmar, go ahead. Brixton, tell him the whole story. While as you're telling him the story, by the way, you see across the thing, Elin saying something to Lily, and she turns around and starts walking in your direction. Go ahead.
It's there was a city in the Lockwood that was managed but overrun by orcs, and they thought it was haunted, and so they left. And the place, it's known to possess several magic items.
Sorry, you.
Yep.
Oh, me. Okay.
Yeah, he's talking to Agrias.
Oh, okay.
Lily walks up to the two of you and just stands there silently, waiting. Mm-hmm.
Lily, I need you to go give breakfast to Einar and wake him up.
Okay. She goes, I'm still looking for a sword.
Okay, I'm sure your master here will find one for you.
Oh, well, I didn't want to bother him with it. I was going to ask other people first.
No, ask the Almighty here.
Oh, okay. Well, Brixton, can I have a sword that I can practice with Raymar?
I think Grice asked you to do something.
Okay. She leaves. Arion, meanwhile, you're playing with the sword that he gave you.
I heard that exchange also.
Yeah. You're close
Okay.
enough.
As I'm comparing the swords, I sort of look up to didn't we have some short swords or something that we got from the original caravan that we were in?
You did.
Probably play with.
Yep. Raymar's got him. Mm-hmm. Arion, you're playing with this other sword. The sword, the balance it's definitely of an elven make. The sword that you've got. The hand grip, first of all, is definitely made for an elven hand. It feels like it's been designed to use either one-handed or two-handed. It is definitely a dueling sword. So it is, it's a very unusual kind of weapon. The weight is really, really light. So whoever used it, first of all, that stands to reason for elves, but the weapon's weight seems to imply the use of, or maybe a woman, maybe. Okay, so you're playing with it there. Go ahead, Brixton and Agrias. Continue.
As far as weight goes, I mean, how comparable is it to my standard longsword?
It's lighter. It's far lighter.
Okay.
Far lighter, and the steel that it's made out of is not native to Radek.
But it seems like it's a good fighting sword.
Oh yeah, for sure, it's a good fighting sword. In fact, it's far better than any of the short swords you guys got. Okay.
Okay, Brixton, so these magical items?
Yeah, they're rumored to be water-powered, water-themed, I guess. And so it might be something worth investigating into for our mission ahead.
Okay. Well, it makes sense for you to have those since you got the hippocampus.
Well, they could help everybody.
Okay.
So it might be worth, going to check out, because the orcs left it because it was haunted, so either they're silly, or last time I thought there was going to be nobody around, there was a lot of people around. So
do you have a way to get to this area?
Well, we can walk. We have carriages.
Okay.
I'm not sure it's whereabouts per se, but Calissa, it's not far from him.
But it's on an island, or it's still on land? Where?
No, it's in the Lockwood, so it's just down the coast. Okay. Are you asking to take a small group again?
No, I'm saying
two went missing.
I'm saying a few of us should go. I think a few of us should go check it out,
Okay.
or at least bring it to the colonel's attention.
Okay.
Already know.
Raymar, you're sitting there listening to this whole thing, by the way, and you see Lily and Einar leave his carriage, and they're starting to come over in your direction. Einar looks like he looks like he is a little bit might have had a little bit of a rough night last night from labors from working out there. It's clear to you that he's probably throwing himself into this a little bit to forget his sister. Um, One thing you do notice, though, Rainmar, also is Herrick is nowhere to be seen at this whole assembly.
Agrias, where is Herrick?
That's a good question. I already sent for him and he hasn't come back. What's his name? Calvin?
Yep, Kelvin.
Calvin, have you seen Herrick anywhere?
Oh, yeah, last time I saw him, he was working on the trench out there. He said he wasn't hungry.
Did he sleep at all?
To tell you the truth, boss, when we left, he was working, and when we came back this morning, he was working. So that guy doesn't seem to get tired ever.
Okay. All right. Can someone go fetch him?
I'll tell you this: if I had three of him, we'd have that palisade fence up already. Yeah, I'll go get him.
Thank you.
He nods. Goes, anything else you guys need this morning?
Some grog from Eric.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll talk to the captain. Oh, by the way, Mr. Beholder's Bane, he says, your girls can sure cook.
Yeah,
They can.
Nods, gets up and walks away. Ariane, you're sitting there doing this. You see Tobias start to kind of lope up from the shoreline a little bit. He's coming in your direction.
Yes, waking up and trying to digest himself.
Pretty much. All the other guys are kind of looking at him. They kind of whispering to one another and pointing at him a little bit.
That's sort of going like, don't antagonize him.
So, the colonel and his daughter come out of the tent, and they're with the captain. They're all talking. Everybody here, Ariane, by the way, Ariane, Agrias, and Brixton, roll me a 20, please. I forgot about that. 3?
15.
Uh-huh.
11.
Okay. Brixton and Agrias, you notice that Rainmar has this strange pendant on his shirt that he didn't have the other day. You guys are all sitting together. So the captain and the two come out of their tent. They walk over. They all come over to Agrias, and the colonel walks over and goes, "Good morning." He goes, "What's the situation?"
Morning. Well, I'm told that there is possibly some kind of site where there is magical weapons stored in the forest.
Oh, is that so?
Do you know anything about that?
No, he says, but who told you about this?
A member of our group.
Oh, well. He goes, are they reliable?
I choke on my breakfast.
Now and again.
Huh. Well, he says, are you asking for leave to go investigate?
I'm asking you if you're aware of any of this.
No, he says, I knew nothing about it. He goes, but then again, he says, to be honest with you, he goes, when we did our scouting of this area, he goes, we did learn a lot about rumors of that this area is supposedly riddled with ancient lore and things like that. He goes that You hear a lot of stories.
Anything about a witch?
A witch? No, he says, but I do know that there was supposedly a magic user's tower somewhere in the wood.
Do you have a general idea where?
He goes, you could talk to Calissa about it. She would know better than I. She's got sort of a map of the area where she's been marking things out. Calissa! He looks over at she's eating her breakfast. Oh, yes? She stands up and walks over. He goes, what do you know about magic items in the wood? Well, I was telling Brixton yesterday that there is supposedly a Manish city that used to be here, or more or less a fortification, and they were men and women of the sea, and they had some water-themed magical items. They were overrun by orcs, maybe 50 years ago, but the orcs left right away. They said they thought the city was haunted. I don't think they got to loot and sack the whole place, though, so there very well may be something useful there. She goes, I have it on my map here. As far as what you're asking me about a witch or a magic user's tower, that would be over here. She points over here. Though the both areas are probably about a day away.
Okay.
Was when we were traveling down here, we noticed some bandit or something out there.
Well,
that,
she
that general direction or
if they're going to be bandits, she says it's one of two things. She says it's probably either men that have taken up residence in the tunnel system that runs along the coast. I've heard rumors that sometimes you'll find stuff down there, people, bandits. She says, but they could be the house retinue for the magic user as well.
I was wondering because I thought we saw some like patrols that were eyeing the caravan as they're going.
Oh, I'm sure that they belong to the magic user then.
Okay, I was wondering if that was all.
She says, I don't know him personally, but I've heard things about him. Allegedly, he's tall, wears black, bald-pated. Um, I think he's a pyromancer, if I remember correctly.
My eyes sort of gleam with an evil grin. It's like, I'm wondering.
Thank you, Calissa.
Oh, no problem at all. If you need anything else, please let me know.
Thank you.
She
I'll
goes,
keep that in mind.
she stops and she goes, oh, that's a very nice Clozon pin you have there, Rainmar. And she keeps walking away.
Thank you.
The captain just kind of smirks. She's drinking out of a hip flask.
Raymar, yeah. Can I take one of those short swords that we have? Do you have them with you?
I do.
Can I have one?
Sure.
Lily's eyes light up like a Christmas tree.
I have them rolled together in some fabric, so I kind of unroll the fabric a little bit, take one of them out.
Uh-huh.
Is Sunny next to Lily?
Sunny and Lily are standing right next to each other, right behind you.
Okay, I'm gonna walk up. I'm gonna hand it to Sunny,
Uh-huh.
and I'll be like, "Oh, sorry, this one's for you."
Yeah, she started it. Lily was kind of like, and then you handed it over to her. She's like, wow, this is awesome. She's holding it, working back and forth.
I back away.
She's kind of holding it. She walks right up to a guy. She goes, I have my sword.
I see that
When can we start?
after this meeting.
Okay.
Guys, do you want another short sword to use for her training, or you need more? Or I'm gonna put these away.
Yeah, go ahead and give her another one.
I'd give another one to Brixton for him to manage his own apprentices.
Okay. Brixton, you have another short sword.
Got it.
The captain looks over at you. He goes, that's pretty admirable there. You taking interest in their education.
Well, somebody's got it, right?
Drinks over there. She goes, oh, yes. She goes, I think that's very important. I was busy giving lessons all night myself.
To your captain, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, she goes, I'm the captain of that ship. She drinks a little bit more.
Under my breath, and then to sort of like whisper in Brixton's ear is like, let me know who your patron deity is. I'll try to figure out a way for ceremony.
Okay, so do you have any more business with the colonel or his retinue?
No.
Okay, they're gonna go ahead and start eating breakfast then.
I want to ask him if there was anything on that letter that I sent along with him.
Nothing yet, she says.
Okay.
Nothing yet. Charissa says, but at the same time, she goes, I expect a raven tonight. So she goes, we might get something.
Can I go talk to Calissa?
Yeah, of course you can. Calissa's still right over there. Brixton?
Okay, I'm gonna go up to her. I'm gonna ask her if she's willing to show me some, if she's willing to train me further in the depths of magic or.
She goes, well, I can train you some basics, she says, but she goes, if I'm not mistaken, you apply the arts of the illusionist, yes?
Well, and a little more so.
Well, maybe I could teach you some magic. She goes, but I think truly you might need a mentor that actually is a dedicated illusionist.
Where would I find one?
She goes, well, the magic user out in the tower might be an option for you. I haven't heard very many good things about him, though. I don't think he's of a friendly sort. Besides that, I'm not really sure. Perhaps Charissa. She looks over at the captain. She goes, do we happen to know anyone who applies illusionary magic? She goes, oh, I might. Drinks a little bit. She goes, perhaps I could go find someone for you. She looks over. She goes, I might need a crew though. She looks over at Rainmar.
Well, you're welcome to use my any crew members from my ship that's right over here. It's called the Nerd Shaw.
Oh, very good, very good, she says. I'll make sure that I'll see if I can find someone for you. Smiles at you, fetchingly.
And then I asked Charissa if she knows any master thieves.
She laughs a little bit. She goes, who's asking?
Beholder's Bane.
She says, well, she goes, I don't know. She goes, oh, by the way, Brixton?
Yeah.
You dropped this. She hands you your bag of holding back. And smiles.
So right after she does that, I pull her underwear out of my pants and I say, hey, first mate, you dropped these.
She looks at those, she goes, oh no, I didn't. She goes, those are yours to keep. She keeps drinking.
Jesus Christ. This is my lucky day, a pair of panties and a ship. That's amazing.
I'm looking around for a pair of.
She goes, you can keep the panties, but the parasol you have to return. She drinks back.
But it goes with his eyes.
It does go with his eyes.
Your panties go. Your eyes go with my panties. I know that. That's why I wear them as a hat. Okay.
Brixton, she says, she hands you your bag back. She goes, I think you dropped that. Does that answer your any questions?
I guess so.
Smiles, turns around, walks away. She goes, Rainmar, we set off in about an hour to find an illusionist. Keeps walking.
I asked Grias if he needs any help with maybe helping out the two girls with some swordplay. I'll be willing to do that also, since I'm very versed in longsword.
That would be extremely helpful, but I think I have another idea for you.
Okay.
Brixton,
I think that's
you were gonna say something?
Let them finish. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
this tower out in the forest. I'd like you to go check it out and lead a crew.
Okay.
Yes, Brixton.
Am I going with him?
You are, but I think Arion's going to be point man this time.
Ouch.
Arion, is there anyone you'd like to go with you?
Herrick starts walking up from the perimeter of the camp over towards you guys. You see him.
Who is?
Herrick.
Okay. Eric and Einar would be good, because I know them.
Because I heard somebody taking my name in vain.
What's that?
I heard somebody taking my name in vain. I also smell breakfast. Comes striding over, sits down next to you guys. Sits down, right next to Raymar, looks over, he goes, Jesus, he goes, you spent last night in a whorehouse? Starts eating.
I did actually. Your mother says hello.
He just kind of chuckles under his breath. He goes, I guess I deserve that.
So Carlos, the cryomancer is
The
supposed to be
pyro.
in this town?
Pyro, not cryo. Pyro.
Pyro. Okay.
And yes, he's supposedly in a tower.
Okay.
Yes.
So Arion, if we can recruit this guy,
Yeah.
yeah.
The other thing is, I'm also thinking this is also the guy that might have been heading torching the Widow Granville's home.
Okay.
Why not both?
We brought Eric up
This way, I was going to ghost Herrick at one point. He's turned out to be a great crew member. So are you opposed to taking the two apprentices, or do you want to keep one of them here, or are both of them here?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Carlos,
Yes.
are they both interested in learning magic?
They both want to learn magic.
Okay, and then Lily wants to learn,
Swords.
and Sunny wants to learn thievery.
Yes.
Is that our split?
No, what you got to remember, Brixton, is these are two very young, impressionable gnomes, and they want to learn everything. Everything. Right now, Lily is, at the same time, she is fascinated and terrified by Agrias, and she's trying to impress the hell out of him because she's screwed up so many times in front of him. So she's trying to. She wants to learn how to use a sword so she can impress him.
Got it. Okay.
That's what you get out of this.
Yeah. So, and you said the tower's about a day's travel?
About a day's travel.
Now, was that the tower we saw coming in?
No, it is not. It's different.
That's a different tower. Okay. I think we'll leave Lily with Agrias,
Okay, Lily with Agrias.
and then I'll take Sunny again.
Okay. You don't think you've traumatized that poor girl enough, huh?
Well, I won't feel so bad if Einar and Jindra are both dead.
Arion, okay, you guys are all together. How soon, Agrias, do you want to send Arion out to do the scouting?
Immediately.
Okay, and he's taking Herrick and Einar? Is that my understanding here?
That's who you want, Ariel?
I want to take Einar for sure.
Okay.
If you want familiar muscle in different areas, go with it, whatever you want to go. But I'd like to have.
Herrick says this.
I know. Herrick is good.
Herrick says this. Listen, boss. Just my 2 cents here, my 2 coppers here. I'm good to go, but he goes, if something attacks this camp while we're all out, he goes, you're gonna want to keep a couple people back here that know what they're doing.
Then you'll stay, Herrick.
He nods. Got it.
What about Merrick, though?
What about
Carry
me?
on.
He's sitting across the little clearing with you. He goes, what about me?
Are you interested in killing some orcs and bandits?
He laughs a little. I'm in.
That's right. I forgot about him.
I'm in, he says.
I didn't. Okay, Einar, Brixton, and Merrick, and Sonny.
Einar, Brixton, Merrick, and Sonny.
That sound good, Ariel?
That's fine.
Okay.
Meanwhile,
Brixton,
Rainmar.
don't come back at all. What'd you say? If people go missing, don't come back at all. Me or everybody don't come back.
I think he just said it in general. Rainmar, in the meantime, what do you want to be doing here?
Well, I'm not going with them.
No.
We've already got fortifications going. What is left to delay us from getting out on the water?
Building fortifications, reinforcing this place. That's about it.
That's it.
Yep.
So after that, we're able to go out into the deep here.
Yep.
And the tower is the location of the pyromancer. Is it also the location of the water-themed magic item?
No, that is a different location entirely.
Location. Okay. I'm gonna stick around camp, I think, and I'm gonna interface a little bit with the crew of the Nerid Shawl.
Okay.
And because now that I'm captain, I should know who my crew is. It makes a little bit of sense. So I'm gonna basically go. I'm gonna get whatever Grias wants to happen with the camp, and then I'm gonna tell him, hey, I'm gonna interface a little bit with the crew of the Nerid Shawl.
Okay.
Question. Refresh my memory. Why are we going after this pyromancer again? Is that to help learn Brixton here, or what?
I was under the impression that they were in the same spot, so I think the magical weapons are a better idea to get.
Okay, so you guys gonna go get the magic weapons then? Instead, you want to go to the city?
Ariel, you're leading this search. Well, what would you prefer to go look at? You want to recruit someone or get weapons? I think the weapons are a better idea.
The weapons would be the better bet.
Okay.
I don't necessarily trust the idea of this pyromancer because it seemed like, and I'm just theorizing because it's the same person. He or she is definitely not with us.
No,
Okay.
but if what you said is true, Herrick says, and this guy tried to burn down the widow's house, who's to say that he's not going to see us building this and come after us? Maybe it's a good idea to off this guy, loot his tower and everything like that before he can come kill us.
Right. We should fortify our camp first before we do a full-scale assault on a pyro guy like that.
If we end up getting some magical weapons that'll help us out, that will help us against him.
Yeah, I suppose. All right, I'm good for whatever. Meantime, I'm going to start helping these guys keep digging.
Okay.
Looks over
right,
at
whenever you're set, go ahead and you take off.
Yeah, I'll get the directions or whatever for this.
Okay, Calissa is sitting there. She says that the location is almost from where you are, dead southwest of where you are. Probably about a day.
How close is it to the shore?
How close are what to the shore?
The city in the lot.
Oh, she says it's about 30 miles out. About 30 miles out. Make me a 20.
6.
Right away, the thought crosses your mind that if these people used to use the water a lot, that's a long way to be inland.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, you were saying?
want to take a boat? Do we get a rowboat and then row down the coast?
Couldn't you travel faster on your hippocampus?
Well, yeah, but I can't bring everybody on it.
Why not? You could scout.
Yeah, or I could hook it up to the boat like a carriage to pull the boat.
There you go. Okay. Now you're using that head of yours for something other than a target.
Opposed to walking through the forest.
Okay.
But that's up to Arion. It's not my mission.
Like, I can, if we got the boat, I can do the steerage on the boat since I've been on it before.
Raymar, you want to say something?
Like the boat.
While these guys are sitting here trying to figure out which end is up, I'm going to get cleaned up because I look like I spent the night in a brothel.
Right.
I'm going to get cleaned up so I look my bardic best, and my clothing represents my charisma score.
Okay. You're over by the shore getting ready to start getting cleaned up, and you hear a voice from behind you about maybe 50 feet. It's Captain. She says, she goes, you could clean yourself on the boat if you wanted to.
Here we go.
Well, the second that I hear her voice, I whip around butt naked with my my bow and draw down.
She goes, that's not the first time you've pointed at you've pointed something sharp and pointy in my direction.
That's true. Just be lucky this one I'm not going to let go. So I'm going to go ahead and just finish washing up and get dressed right where I am.
Okay. She just kind of bemusedly watches you get yourself ready. As for the rest of the crew, is there anything special you want to do to prepare yourselves for this journey?
Arion, do you want to go by boat?
That's what I said. If you want, using your idea with your hippocampus is almost like a draft animal, a bull with boat. That would work out just fine. I don't care.
Cool. I'll go.
A lot faster than blockage.
Yeah. So I'll ask the colonel if we can borrow a rowboat.
Oh, that shouldn't be a problem.
Cool. And then I'm gonna go to the water, get the boat ready. I'm gonna give.
You get about 100 yards out from the shore, and you see Rainmar standing there, butt naked, pointing a bow and arrow at the captain.
I'm just gonna chuckle.
Give me a D20 for that.
11.
That's a pretty good laugh. I mean, it's hard.
You just chuckle to yourself. He's getting dressed right now. The two of them are standing there. Brixton, you're in sight of them. The captain looks over at you. She's like, "Oh, good morning." She goes, "Your friend's out there." You can feel her already.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Aurora to shore.
Uh-huh.
Close to shore.
The hippocampus breaches once, comes over to the shore line. Rainmar, you're seeing this hippocampus up close. It's even when it's up close, it's even more impressive. She's got this kind of silvery, whitish look to her. Around her fins and everything is kind of like a prismatic, almost rainbowish color to them. The hippocampus looks up at you. Get this sensation of warmth, the feeling from it.
When I see the hippocampus, it's the first time I've seen Aurora, I think.
It is.
I'm sort of taken by this. I immediately get out my notebook and start writing about what she looks like.
Okay.
Horse with no name.
Charissa looks over as you're writing down. She goes, on your notes, make sure you put down. She goes, it's a relatively young one. She's only about 2 years old. Looking at it, she looks over at her.
Do I hear this?
Huh?
Do I hear this?
Yeah. He goes, she's only about 2 years old by the looks of her. She's in good health, but it looks like, yes, this one actually hails from the north originally. You could tell by the coloration. She says over there by the fins. She goes, usually in the south they have darker shades to the scale in the fin area.
How much further north?
Oh, probably. Oh, by boat, probably about 5, maybe 7 days north. She's come a long way. He goes, but that's the good thing is hippocampi can go pretty deep in the water. She says, and she shouldn't be having any problems climatically. All she has to do is dive far enough, and she should be okay. She looks over at you. She goes, have you been feeding her, or has she been catching her own food?
Half and half.
Okay.
Mostly catching her own.
She nods. She goes, seals. She goes, this kind, these northern kind, they like seals a lot.
Cool.
She nods.
That was my seal. Anyway.
I saw it.
It was my seal of approval.
You're never gonna survive unless we get a little crazy.
I'll feed her some kelp and
Mhm.
kind of get, let her know what's going on. We're gonna take the boat.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Best. The Aurora seems fine with it. You just you get that sensation of acceptance through her.
Perfect.
So, Rainmar, I see you've brought a visitor to the ship today. Sarissa says as she looks over at your wolf cub. Cub's just looking at her.
Yeah, she follows me around everywhere. I'm not sure what her problem is.
Cub goes, Rainmar.
Like a drunk old. I give her a little piece of the tree.
And she eats it. That's not a wolf, she says, looking at her and pointing at her.
You have a keen sense of observation.
Yes, she goes, it's very well refined. What the hell is that?
It's a ward pup.
Oh. Oh. She's going to get to be a big one.
Yeah, eventually I'm going to use her as a mount.
You might be able to, she nods.
Until then, I'm going to use you.
Brixton, you're right here for this whole thing. She goes, some horses can't quite be tamed. She ruffles your hair a little bit and turns around and walks away over towards the boat. She goes, I'll be waiting for you on board.
I swat her on the ass with the parasol.
She looks back at you and smirks again.
Is the parasol by any chance a magic item?
No, hers is, though. That's just a spare that you grabbed. So she's on the boat. Ariane, you're grabbing the entire crew. You're getting everybody ready. You're coming to the shore, I would imagine, when Brixton has everything assembled, right?
Right. I've got a bag of deer guts and some other things for.
He's got an extremely smelly bag with him, Brixton. Agrias, what are you going to do in the meantime?
I'm gonna have Eric with me, and we're gonna help the laborers fortify the camp.
Okay, is there anything special you're going to want to do fortification-wise? Because Herrick has all kinds of crazy ideas. Herrick's got ideas for traps in the trenches and sniper nests, and he's got all kinds of ideas.
Let's focus. The first one. Let's focus on putting traps in the trenches. I think that's a good place to start.
Okay, he nods.
Kind of start out and then build in.
Okay, he's like, all right, well that's what we'll do, boss. Him and Kelvin and you are working on the fortifications, and Ariane, Brixton, and the rest of the crew. Yes, go ahead, Brixton.
I asked Merrick what he did with the chest real quick.
Wouldn't you like to know? He says.
Ghost of Brixton. Well, because I still have all his coin in the bag, right?
Yeah, he goes, it's in a safe place, don't worry.
Unless the captain stole it out of the bag. I don't think he did.
You might be surprised.
No, not yet. Because I want to empty the contents of my bag into the chest before we leave.
Oh, well, in that case, go up to the colonels. I put it in there. I figured it'd be safe in there.
Cool. And then, yeah, can I lock it and
Yep. Mm-hmm.
possibly trap it again?
Mm-hmm.
Can I hear this?
Give me a 6-sider.
2.
Yeah, you overheard this.
Okay.
Brixton, are you gonna go back when you're done?
Yeah, but I'm gonna keep my sword with me.
Okay.
And I made sure to trap it, right?
Yeah, you made sure you trapped it. Anything else?
What I love about that is that you don't even care about the sword. You just want to fuck with it.
Okay, Brixton, are you gonna go?
I think so, because now that should be pretty empty.
Okay. Arion, because you are the ranger here, I'm assuming that you've got the map.
Yeah.
Okay, Calissa drew you guys a small map for this place, and you guys set off down the coastline. The hippocampus is got rope, and she's holding it in her teeth, and she's pulling you guys through the water because there's no bridle or anything you could put on her.
Be offended if I rode her?
Not at all.
Okay.
In fact, she would prefer that.
Yeah.
Okay. So Brixton is actually on the hippocampus, while Arion and the rest of the crew are in the boat. Merrick looks over at you, Arion. He's like, I want you to know, he goes, this is, he goes, dwarves and water really don't mix, especially, just so you know.
I realize that.
He goes, especially dwarves wearing chainmail. He goes, I'm not about to drown today. He goes, so something happens. Be ready.
Can I do this?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell Merrick we got him. I'll make sure you don't drown.
Well,
I've also got to think of my companion too. He's not all that great with being out at sea, and he's more of a forest creature.
yeah, he is.
Brixton feels very capable right now.
I always feel capable.
Brixton is going to take just as good a care of you as he did of your sister. Don't worry.
God help us all.
I'm going to Arion in charge of the expedition.
So Raymar, you watch the boat get pulled southernly down the coastline as they disappear. What are you gonna do, Raymar?
I'm headed back up
To the ship or to the camp itself?
Yeah, actually, I just had another idea. No, I'll head up to the ship.
Okay, you head up to the ship. You see Charissa. She's standing at the bow. She's just kind of looking out at the water. She sees you, turns over her shoulder. She goes, "Oh, welcome back."
Thank you. You taking care of my ship?
She says, if that's a euphemism for something else, then yes.
Well, I'm fumbling as a writer. I'm not very good, but I meant it both literally and figuratively.
She goes, good. She goes, you realize we're not actually going to look for an illusionist, right?
Yes.
Good. She goes, I sent a raven. She says, I don't, there's no real need for us to leave the camp for this.
And there's no money in it.
No, of course not. She says, but, she says, I do have some money. She says, she opens up her purse. She says, she kind of looks at a few gold and kind of like silvery coins. She says, I nicked these out of your friend's bag. She flips one of them in her hand.
When she flips it up, I catch it out of the air.
Give me a 20.
17.
Okay, you catch it out of the air. She looks at you.
And I say, this is, how many more are there?
She looks at you. She goes, well, a woman's got to keep some secrets.
Okay, that's fine. I have no ability to steal the purse. Where does she have the coins? She's holding them right in front of me?
No, she's got a coin purse in her hands. Yeah, and she's kind of looking at them.
Okay. I say.
Okay.
It's fair. That's fair play.
Yeah, she looks at you. She goes, "Oh, you." She says, "It's the rules of the sea." She says, "You take what you can take."
Funny you should say that. I grab her by the hair.
Make me a 20-sider.
While he's doing that, I just want to let you know while we're making our trip down there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to talk to Einar and Merrick about if they want me to officiate over something for their
Okay.
death.
Okay, we'll handle that in just a second. Rainmar,
I just want
what was your die roll?
17.
Okay. The next thing you know, you're in a kind of an exotic leg sweep, and she's on top of you on the ship's prow, right on the bow.
Okay.
She's standing there, and she takes her hat off, puts it on your head, and starts unbuttoning your shirt right there
Okay.
in broad daylight.
In my move before my turn is over, the door to her room is behind me, isn't it?
It's a substantial distance, yeah.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab her and roll backwards toward the bedroom.
Okay, make me a die roll.
That's an 18.
Okay,
No, yeah, 18.
you kind of throw her off of you. She kind of laughs, shrieks a little bit. You flip her over towards the door. She hits on the deck, scoops up the coin purse, looks at you, and walks into the bedroom. She says, you hear a voice come out of the door. You hear a voice come out of the doorway. She goes, "If you really want this to be your ship, you're going to have to come and take it."
I draw my sword.
Do you? For real?
Dead serious. I draw my sword.
Okay.
And run into the bedroom.
You run into the bedroom drawing your sword.
And that's the scene.
Okay. Okay. Arion, you say that to Einar and to Merrick. Merrick looks over at you and says, Ginny wasn't really all that religious a person. I said what I had to say the other day, and I think that'll be about it. Einar says that I appreciate that, but I've said I am a man of the gods as well, and I've said what I need to say as well.
Okay, that's fine. Because I had a conversation with Solveig a long time ago, and she was talking about Bethune.
He nods. He pulls out from underneath his necklace. There's a symbol there. He says, "Yes, I am a priest of Bethune, to be exact."
What I heard is that she went away that a warrior would. But I wanted to just put that toward you if you wanted me.
He nods.
Their souls or your beliefs at rest, or both.
Sonny says, looks at you, Arion, and says, I was there when it happened. Yeah. They were really brave, both of them. We wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for them. I mean, Brixton he's really smart, and he's really nice, and he's like the best gnome I ever met, but I think even he owes his life to those two. Goes, she looks out at the water. She says, this isn't going like I thought it would, being an apprentice, but
it never is.
No, she shakes her head, but those two gave up their lives so we could live, and it'd be stupid if we didn't do something with that chance. I'm gonna be a great magic user, and I'm gonna be a great thief, and I'm gonna be Brix is gonna teach me everything he knows, and I'm gonna be somebody that like him, that everybody looks up to, and is tough and is smart. She says.
You might need some stills.
She looks over. Oh, I didn't think you could hear me up there. With all the splashing. You guys are actually moving like a speedboat through the water area and getting pulled. The boat kind of bouncing back and forth. Tobias is green in the gills, boy. He is about to start throwing up deer guts everywhere. It's going to be bad.
Pulled him over the edge. Throw him in the water.
Ariane, are you going to do anything about it, or are you just going to let him get sick of the boat?
I don't know what else I can really do. Come from, but like
You got a bucket?
I don't want to lose them overboard either.
Okay, so you're just going to let him get sick of the boat. Okay. So you guys are getting...
As best I can, but
Yeah, you're getting pulled down through the water.
I try to calm him down as best I can.
It's not working. He starts yakking up everywhere inside the boat, and it is the most revolting smell in the history of mankind. It is disgusting. Einar and Merrick actually throws up shortly afterwards from the smell, as do Lily and Sonny. You and Einar seem to handle it pretty well. What?
Just Sunny, right?
Yeah, just Sonny.
Yeah, okay. I invite Sunny to come up.
To the front of to actually right on the hippocampus with you?
Yeah.
Oh, she's all about that. You kind of slow down so she can wade over there. She gets on your back and holds you like she's riding on a motorcycle with you. And you guys start going again. Brixton, make me a 20-sider, please. Okay. She's holding you really, really tight. Has her head on the side of you, like she's trying to listen to your heart through your back.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Boat's going down south, and you're making way better time than you would have had you gone on an overland travel. Meanwhile, Agrias, back to you. You're at the you guys are working at the you're working on the defenses. And as you're working on the defenses, one of the workers comes up to you. It says, "Hey, boss."
Yeah.
Goes, I think we might have a little bit of a problem.
Okay, what's up?
Come here, I gotta show you this. It's better if you see it yourself.
Okay, I follow the guy.
Okay. Goes, I was digging the trench over here. He goes, and look. You see an open spot that leads down to a tunnel in the trench.
Okay. Did anyone go in there before I got here?
No. He goes, I got a couple of the guys looking around it. We all got our shovels here. He goes, looks at you. He goes, no way. He goes, we don't do anything without your say so. He nods.
Good. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get Rangmar real quick.
Okay, you go over to the boat. Two guards are standing there. They look at you. Hey, Agrias. Good to see you. Hey, you may not want to go into the captain's quarters right now.
This is urgent. I need you to get out of my way.
They both part. You go up the gangplank. Rainmar, you're right in the middle of things, rolling around, getting tossed around there like a rubber ball. Agrias, are you just gonna walk in, or are you gonna knock?
I'm just gonna walk. I'm gonna knock and then walk in.
Okay, there's a knock on the door, and all of a sudden, Agrias walks in. You see the captain and him in flagrant delicto on on the bed in the middle of there.
You mean the captain and her?
It's hard to tell who's on top of who. It's kind of a tangle of naked flesh.
Tell him to put his dagger away.
She doesn't cover herself up with modesty at all. She just kind of looks over at you.
As soon as that door starts to open,
Uh-huh.
I roll off the bed, grab my sword, and draw it.
Okay. Raymar, or Agrias, you walk out, you see a little bit of motion, and Raymar sitting there in the middle of the room with his sword pulled out looking at you. Naked as a jaybird. the captain is sitting there on the bed. Again, she's not covering herself up for modesty at all. She's got a divine body. She's also got 3 concealed daggers hidden there at the top of the bed that she's got her. She's got an easy reach that you notice. What are you two gonna do?
Your sparring session, but I need your help. He's talking to you, Carl.
No, he's talking to
I'm
you.
actually talking to Rangmar. Understood. I'll get my first mate here and the crew together and see what we can do.
That would actually be our 4th or 5th mate.
That's good.
She says, "Do you want me to come too?"
If you don't mind.
Good, because I sure wasn't here.
Oh.
And she looks over at Rainbar and winks.
I stab her through the chest. Okay.
Okay, so you start getting dressed.
I'm heading down to investigate the hole.
Okay.
Which one?
Yeah, this would be for the second time in the last 5 minutes. So anyway, Rainmar, you get dressed and the captain get dressed, and she's looking at you. You know your friend has an exceptional sense of timing.
Yeah.
You guys end up leaving the quarters, go over towards the trench, and Raymar, you see exactly what I described to Agrias. They broke through into a hole in the trench, cutting the trench.
We need to go investigate, unless you want to lead a crew down there. You can take your first mate with you.
Oh no, she goes, "I'm not leaving the Nerid Shaw."
Yeah, and I can't leave my ship either.
She looks at you, she goes, "I think you can go ahead and lead an expeditionary party." She pats you on the shoulder.
Okay.
Turns around. Walks
Well,
away.
take care of my stuff, will you?
She goes, "Oh, I will. Haven't I done a good job thus far?"
Oh my god. I think I'm going to, we're just going to burn the tunnel out. Alright, let's go get Herrick to make a bomb to chuck down.
Okay, so you guys are starting to do all this. Arion and Brixton. As you guys go south, you're traveling for about 6 hours to the south. The hippocampus is not tiring a bit. 6 hours straight of going through the water. Arion, Tobias has absolutely nothing in his stomach whatsoever anymore. It's all inside the boat, and it is disgusting. But mercifully, Alona, be blessed, you find a small cove in the shoreline that goes into a river inland, and that is in the direction the map is. The river is not on the map, but it is that leads towards the direction of where the city supposedly is.
Okay.
And Brixton, that seems consistent with what you would expect from people who are interested in the water. So you guys gonna follow it?
Is there anything around the cove?
No, it's just beach and trees.
Okay, Arion, do you have to get Tobias sorted out a little bit before we...
What you guys do see, though, is just inland, the forest is thick here. It's very, very dense forest.
And can Aurora go down the river?
No. Aurora will not be able to go down the river. It's a little too shallow.
Also, wouldn't it be fresh water too?
Yeah, but that won't bother her so much. She's kind of an elemental creature. She can handle a little bit of both.
I'm gonna let them dock, and I'm gonna take Aurora for a dive around where it meets into the river, see if there's anything down there. And I can stay for extended periods of time using my bag for air.
Okay. Brixton goes down underneath the water with that. Ariane, you're sorting out Tobias?
Yeah, I'm also looking as I'm doing, is I'm looking for natural, either seasick or herbal things for stomach.
Okay, well, you really don't see anything, but
So,
as you're looking, Merrick and Einar are interested in speaking with you. Merrick is like, okay, so are we going to take the rowboat down the river, or are we going to actually march along one of the banks? How do you want to handle this?
where does it show the best way to go on the map?
Well, the river is not even on the map.
Well, can I get a general idea of where the river might be?
Yeah, it looks like the river is going to go almost directly towards where you want to be.
I would say we could probably take the rowboat up there, be faster, try to get through the woods.
Yeah, the only thing I'm thinking is if we run into trouble.
Ambushing, though.
Yeah, if we run into trouble, we're going to be sitting ducks in that water.
Right.
So what do you think?
I mean, how does at least I know I can't see all the way up the river, but and I'd rather be in the woods being a ranger anyway. But I'm just trying to figure out what, as far as space between the river and the woods. I mean,
Space between the river and the woods is probably it varies, but it goes from anywhere from about 100 feet to about 15 feet.
Okay, so it actually wouldn't be that hard to go.
No, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be.
I would say that would probably be the best way to go. We can
just tie up the boat here.
Tie the boat up, yeah.
All right, because I think your buddy here would probably appreciate being on dry land too. Anyway, Lily's like, your buddy smells. Brixton.
If he wants to take a bath, have him take a bath.
He would absolutely not like to take a bath, but this is a very special case. Yes, Agrias.
Are Sonny and Lily with them?
Yeah, I thought so, right? Oh, you only have Sonny.
Just Sonny, and Lily's with the Agrias.
Okay, yeah. Lily is with Agrias. Okay, got it. So Sonny would have been your buddy smells. Arion, yeah, this is a very special case, though, and he's letting himself be bathed. Brixton, when you go down into the water, you really don't see anything unusual, for the exception of right where the river leaves out into the ocean, there's a major drop-off in the shelf. It gets deep really fast here.
Hey, sorry.
Another familiar.
Can we go down? Can we explore?
Yeah, you can explore. You really don't see anything. The problem is light for you once you get to a certain depth.
But can Aurora see?
Aurora can see just fine, and she'll tell you. You get the impression once you get down to a certain level, Aurora starts thinking to you, it's not safe for you to go any deeper.
Pressure, I assume.
Yeah, take it from me, from somebody who almost drowned scuba diving. I know everything about that.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask her that when we go inland, that you want to investigate this area and see if there's anything.
I'll do so.
Yeah,
I'll do so. She thinks back to you. You get this impression that this feeling from her that she is worried about you. She wants you to be safe.
I will be. You too.
Yeah, she leaves and goes ahead and does that. You're going to go back on the shore?
Yeah.
Okay. Raymar and Agrias. Lily and Elena's with you guys, too. And you're all standing there around this hole at the surface with Herrick. Everybody's looking down in the hole. So what's the plan? Are we going in here?
What's that?
Are we going in?
We're going in. Lily, get on my back.
She nods. She jumps on your back. Okay.
And I jump right in the hole.
Agrias, you jump down into the hole.
Yeah.
It's like
on the ladder and start sledding.
Okay. It is probably about a 30 foot down the ladder.
Perfect. So Lily's gonna scream.
Lily screams, and you hit the bottom of it. Raymar, it's very easy for you to tell how deep it is because the screaming stops. You're in the middle of a long corridor that extends to the northeast, or northwest, I should say, and southeast. It seems to trace the shoreline.
Okay. I call for Herrick to come down.
Okay, Herrick comes down too. Herrick's got a torch in his hand. He comes down the ladder, looks around, looks back and forth. Don't see anybody, boss.
Can we block this off?
Yeah, what direction do you want it to be barricaded? To the north or to the south or both?
Both.
Yeah, I could have the guys send me down some wood. Shouldn't be too hard.
Can you lay some traps?
Oh yeah, I could think of something.
Okay. Do you need someone to guard you while you handle this?
Nah, just give me a couple laborers and everything should be all right. He looks around, says, though I'm wondering. He goes, we're really worried about getting treasure or magic. He goes, this might be the place. Looks back at you. What do you say, boss?
Remember the last time we let people go on an adventure in the tunnels?
Yeah, but you and I weren't there.
Oh man.
He goes, you, me, Rainmar, the druid. Come on. He goes, we should be able to handle this, right? And the gnome too. Don't forget the gnome. Yeah, you too.
No, someone's already on a magic Adam quest. Let's just blockade it.
Suit yourself, boss. I'll get the laborers. We'll start working on it right away.
All right, let me know if you need something.
Yep. You gotta go back up?
I do, but I've noticed. Well, something just occurred to me. Yeah. Are you down in the tunnel? Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm talking to you. Okay.
Raymar followed you down there.
Yeah, something just occurred to me that if we can blockade it from the top, why can't we blockade it from within the tunnel and actually use this section of the tunnel that we came down in as part of our fortification? That's what we're doing. We're blockading in the tunnel. Just catching up, man. Okay. Can I?
Brixton, what do you got?
No. No, go ahead. What is it?
Because the tunnel runs under the camp. So there's probably an opening on the other side. What if we found the other opening and barricaded there, and then we had the extra space to use the tunnel?
Brixton, no kibitzing. You're not there.
All right.
Okay, what do you got?
That is what we're doing.
It is what you're doing. I just need to know how far you want him to blockade from the hole in either direction.
Oh, I see. Do you want to travel ahead and see if we can find the other side, or if it connects to the water, because then we can just flood it?
Sure, I'll scout ahead if you want. I mean, I don't care.
What direction?
The direction towards the water.
Elin says, I want to go with him.
Okay, Herrick?
Herrick nods. Herrick says, listen. He goes, if we're all going to go in this direction, he goes, somebody's got to stay here and make sure nothing follows us or comes up out of this hole.
Lily, that's you and me.
Lily nods. She pulls out her sword.
That's adorable. Right when she does that, I pull out mine.
Uh-huh. She kind of looks over at Agrias. She goes, Agrias?
Yeah.
Am I holding this right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you put the pointy end that way. He looks over at her. He goes, it's really not that hard, kid. Rainmar, which one of us is going first? Who's leading this up?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I got the blade out.
Are you ready?
Yeah, but are you taking point? You want me? What are we doing here? Lynn says, "I'm gonna stay. I'll stand in the back."
I'm not taking point, Eric. I'm giving point. You know what I mean?
I heard you.
Okay, let's do this, man. Come on.
All right, let's go. He pulls out his crossbow. He goes right behind you. Okay, so you guys begin down.
You're right behind me with a crossbow in my back.
He goes, "Yeah, I'm gonna shoot over your shoulder." He goes, "I'm bigger than you."
Okay.
Goes, "Not gonna be a problem." He goes, "I'm used to shooting over the gnome anyway."
I'm a little bigger than a gnome.
Yeah, but not that big.
Yeah. All right.
He goes, he kind of looks. He goes, "You got them cute pointy ears and all that." He goes, "So, is it true what I'm hearing around the camp? You and the captain? People are talking about it, you know."
Let's be clear, Eric. I'm the fucking captain. All right.
He goes, yeah, whatever. He goes, "Word of advice." He goes, "That one's dangerous."
You haven't seen me in the bedroom. I'm dangerous. Just keep moving.
He goes, "Listen, man." He goes, your personal business is your personal business. I'm just telling you. Just telling you. Be careful
All right,
with that.
thank you. Appreciate it.
Careful.
Just get ready to kill something.
Oh, I'm ready to kill something, all right.
Not me.
And Lynn looks over. She goes, "Are you guys talk this much all the time?" She goes, "What if there's something down there that's going to listen to us?"
Well, it'll kill Eric because he's running his mouth the whole time. He's drawing arrows.
Oh, well, in that case, I guess we're fine.
Yeah, we're okay. It's gonna look like a pincushion when this is over, but we'll be fine.
"I need another drink," she says, and starts drinking her beer. Arion, Brixton, the rest of the crew, you guys are going down the river.
Okay, everybody's back together now.
Everybody is back together.
I'm using the map as best I can to.
I kind of need a vague idea, Arion, since you're heading up this expeditionary force. Are you taking the lead and kind of scouting? Or are you going to be, or is everybody going to remain as a single force?
Well, I'm used to scouting ahead that way.
Okay.
Those ranger abilities.
So you and Tobias are going to go ahead a little bit and scout.
Yeah, but within sight of everybody, and you know.
Okay. Arion, make me a percentage die roll.
31.
There are tracks in this area. This river, people come here a lot as a watering source. The footprints are man-sized.
But they aren't human?
Not human.
I recognize them?
You're figuring about weight. You're thinking probably lightly armored, maybe orc. Maybe large goblins. Hard to tell.
Okay. By the way, did we disguise the boat up a little bit?
Yeah, you guys hid the boat.
Okay. I back up and tell them, be on alert. This is what I'm seeing.
Okay, Brixton. He comes back and he tells you about the humanoids that are probably infesting these woods.
How new are they? Fairly recent? Or?
Fairly recent. So okay. we have Arion, Brixton, and his half of the crew investigating the river, and you guys have discovered that they are that it's humanoid infested, probably these woods. Meanwhile, Rainmar, Agrias, and his team are in the tunnel. Rainmar is investigating down the tunnel while Agrias is setting the rear guard with Lily. When we begin our next adventure, this is where we will begin the game. At this point, so gentlemen, you got a lot of Performa stuff done, a lot of little cool role-playing stuff done, and you have a real direction on where you're going right now. You're both in very dangerous straits, too. So this will be tomorrow. The next game session I expect to be a real headbanger.
Tomorrow's good. I like where you're I'm free tomorrow.
Well, Agrias, we can talk offline about that. I owe you a solo.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, we can talk about that. Or I could run Rainmar and Agrias both because I owe both of you solos. So we'll talk about that offline here in a second. And in the meantime, everyone out there who follows us on Twitch, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I know I did. I hope the guys did too. Everybody stick around, and we'll talk here in just a moment. But for right now, First Betrayal is going to be signing off for the evening. See you next week, and have a good evening.